Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Dad and Buried podcast. It is I, Sidney Feldman, also known as Mike Julianelle, also known as Dad and Buried. If you catch that movie reference, you just shoot me a little note and let me know. I'll be very proud of you. And here's Pete.
No one's going to do that, Mike.
People know it.
No one knows it. No one knows it.
It's a great line from a great film.
You're a great line from a great film. You know that, Mike?
Best compliment you've ever given me. Thank you.
Your knowledge of films from, I would say, starting in the early 80s and going through really, I want to say like 2 years ago, but maybe it's more up to date, is really encyclopedic. It's almost like a little worrying, a little troublesome.
I'm not taking any of that as a compliment. Most of all, the part where you said like 2 years ago I dropped off. Come on, man.
I feel like maybe, I don't know. We never talk about new movies. They're always.
Okay, so I didn't know if you know this, but I have 2 kids. I'm a dad, right? Did you know that?
Mike, you make me sick.
But that's why I can't see new movies
throw that
as
in my
well.
Face. I see.
You don't go to new movies because you don't like going to the movies.
That's true, and I just wait for them to come out on streaming services. So there we go.
Yeah, but going to the movies is nice.
Is it though? I just kind of discovered that going to the movies was a bit of a waste, except for certain movies.
Going with your kids is a waste.
Yeah, and also on date night. I think movies on date night is just, what are we doing here? Well, we're paying at home. We're paying here. We're paying everywhere.
Yeah, you're paying a babysitter to go sit and do what you could do on the couch. I understand that. Yeah. I don't. When I get a babysitter, I don't go to the movies. We go out dancing,
hardcore. Yeah, right off the bat.
Hardcore, and also the drinking. Anyway, so we haven't been doing a lot of that lately because we're still under quarantine. Although things are starting to lift in New York, whether you want them to or not. And I guess one of the concerns is that in a few weeks things are going to surge again because everybody was out and about, painting the town red in those protests.
Yeah, that's right.
Which are still going on, right? So,
well, Mike, as you know, my favorite thing to do is come out of a global pandemic right into social unrest.
Yes.
And that's really how I prefer my pandemic to.
I will say I'm much happier with the spike in the coronavirus as a result of people standing up to institutionalize the systemic racism and police brutality than I am with like wanting to go to the Ozarks for a weekend, right? So
that is true. That is a good point.
You take the good with the bad. With the hopefully not a lot of deaths from it. Hopefully less deaths from the new spike in the coronavirus than from police killing people during the protests. Hopefully.
We'll see. We'll see. The data's still coming in.
Low bar. It is still coming in. It is still coming in. So, speaking of data, this is our 68th episode?
68. Yeah, that's right.
What's going to be 69? The $1 million question. The $69,000 question. We'll have to figure out something special to do.
There we go.
Because you love the number 69. Little known fact, Pete loves the number 69.
I'm constantly pointing to the number 69 and going, nice.
Public.
And saying nice. Yeah. That's definitely what I do.
So along the way, we've had a lot of support from you guys. We just want to run through some of the people that have been giving us some money on Patreon and Anchor. We got Ryan Miller, MS Babayan, Check Your Kids at the Door, Chris Coleman, M. Cedeno, 1980. I hate saying that 1980 part. From now on, I'm just going to say M. Cedeno. Mallory McKenzie, Miriam, Tina Davis, Lindsay Woodruff, Andrea Sandoval, Barbara Geiger, Bill D'Amica, Dana Bosday, who... She left a message on our latest episode saying she forgets to listen because she doesn't have a commute. So she forgets podcasts exist. And I'm the same way. Like, you just have less time to listen to podcasts. We forgive you, Dana, but don't let it happen again.
I had to remind you that you were doing this, actually.
Yeah, you did. I forgot because I don't have a commute, so I forget that I'm recording one too. Jacques Govar, Morning Glow, Cotton Farmer AZ, Wes Clark, Jennifer Wynn, Julie McCarthy, Paula Polsky, Mary Williams, and Julie Burton, who is in Kansas City, which is near where those Ozarks are. So mostly her fault, I would say.
I feel like it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I was so just hearing the news that there was one person who 100% had corona at that bar in the Ozarks. This was a couple weeks ago, obviously, but just like, oh God, is it going to be like this now from now on? Or just assume that everybody has corona and just start there. and then go forward.
That's the thing. Like, we're past the point of like these people who are going and partying, like being ignorant, right? They know what's going on.
Right.
They're just like, fuck it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Live free and die young, like New Hampshire says.
And die with a tube in your throat. That's the way I want to go.
That's the way I want to go as well. So you don't just have to pay us on Patreon. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Leave us a review on Apple. We skipped last week out of respect for the Black Lives Matter, the Justice for George Floyd movement. We did Blackout Tuesday, which I think was a real big step in the right direction. Like the two white dads on a podcast, really, putting ourselves out there.
People noticed
as part of the solution,
and not part of the problem. Like we've been for so long.
For so long, we are. You and I are emblematic of the problem.
We really are.
But this week we're talking about. This week we're talking about things we wish we were getting better at, and a handful of the responses do refer to what's going on. Like better at like talking to my kids about big issues or the current events that are happening that affect them, and talking to my kids about like racism and police brutality and that kind of stuff. It's a really interesting tweet going around where somebody was like, are you worried about talking to your kids? Are you worried you're 4 or 5 years too young?
I am worried about
racism. Yeah, but then they go, black parents, can't, or black kids can't afford to not know about it, right? They get told very early, they're warned like how to behave and that certain people are going to hate them for no reason. And I was like, yeah, but I'm still nervous about telling my kids. I don't want to have. I wish I didn't. I wish you didn't have to have the conversation, which sucks. Nobody wants to have that conversation. I'm terrible at it. That's one of the things I definitely want to get better at is talking to my kids about serious things. To be honest, if we were going to talk about things I need to get better at with parenting, we should just name this whole podcast parenting stuff Mike sucks at, because that's basically what it is. And there's a lot of good suggestions.
Mike, don't sell yourself short. There's plenty of things that I'm awful at as well.
That's the thing.
And I'm trying to contribute to your suckiness. A lot of
people say all the same stuff that I think I suck at, right? So a lot of solidarity out there.
We're in it together.
You and me, we're the same people.
We're all in it together.
We have different haircuts. But we have a lot of similarities.
We do. All right, and we'll get into it right after this.
All right, like I said at the top, there's a lot going on, but this week, some of the people, we asked the question, what are you trying to get better at? One of the things that they brought up was explaining current events in a way that doesn't scare my kids. Lisa SJW287 said that. Julie, JULLEE03, Julie says discussing challenging topics like racism and gender equality. Aaron O. Mameo says talking about racism, right? It's on everybody's mind, right? And talking to your kids about it is tough. But you said you watched that CNN.
Yeah, I mean,
Sesame
I can't.
Street thing.
Listen, if you really, I think everyone should watch it. It was excellent. So CNN partnered with Sesame Street. They actually did a town hall about coronavirus, which I missed.
Didn't see that either.
But they did one on the racism where that we watched as a family. So my 5-year-old, 9-year-old, and 12-year-old
just had a birthday. The 5-year-old.
Just had a birthday. Yeah, that's right. So now 6, I guess. Thanks, Mike, for calling me out. I'm not really knowing how old my kids are. Yeah, thanks. But no, it was really excellent. We'll put a link in the description. But you should definitely check it out if you haven't. And some really, the way they did it was, I thought, very smart and clever.
Like
and had a lot. But the questions that. You know what it was? It was pre-recorded questions that came in, and then there was a couple live moments where you had just people talking, like the mayor of Atlanta. You had a few different doctors, and both medical doctors, but also
Killer Mike from Run the Jewels in there.
He was on. He was on it. No, he wasn't, but he did.
That guy was awesome. Did you see his speech?
Yeah,
awesome.
I did. That was amazing. But anyway,
was good too.
It's and their new song "Ooh La La" is very good. So but anyway, the actual The town hall,
Yeah.
I fully recommend. It was really, really excellent and so poignant. These kids asking these questions that were really gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching, in their simplicity.
So you watched it
and their obviousness.
You watched it at the same time as your family. You didn't like vet it beforehand.
It was live, Mike. So I did have a kill button.
The internet.
I run it through.
I can go watch it right now, though, can't I?
Of course you can. But we actually watched it by appointment, Mike.
Oh, you were at the studio, actually. You were Big Bird, actually.
We went, who sounds very different. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the
Carol Spinney. I think that dude died recently, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I know, and it's very noticeable. It's like Big Bird's like,
well, when Jim Henson died, Kermit's voice is still, it's a pretty good approximation, but it's still a little weird.
Let me be honest with you. The old Kermit to new Kermit is much, much closer than the old Big Bird. The new Big Bird is like, it's like it's a completely different voice. Sounds like a smoker.
The good thing is, though, for continuity's sake, is the racism has been the same throughout all of the 10 years.
I think that's what's really good about Sesame Street. They really kept that racism nice and thick, a nice thick layer.
So I do want to say, I think maybe I'll check that out with my kids, but this is the thing. Like, I don't want to be flip like saying this term, but that kind of content is basically evergreen, right? The challenge with what's going on right now is the short burst that's happening needs to be maintained for change to really occur, because otherwise there's going to be, in 10 years, there's going to be another Sesame Street special about racism, right? So that's the challenge, I think, for everybody, is keep this top of mind. Just because it's not like in your feed as much or as aggressive, it's still something that needs to be changed. So
Mike, don't forget, we are in an election year after all. This was supposed to be the year of election years, but instead we've had everything except for a giant meteor. Knock on wood, everybody.
Dude, but I mean, right? So is the thing.
You have the power of change right at our fingertips.
But is it going to be like, everyone's like, this year can't keep getting worse? You know what's the ultimate topic of this year continuing to get worse? I'm just saying. Anyway, so look, speaking of things continuing to get worse, me and Pete we do a parenting podcast, and I am very terrible at most aspects of parenting. So that's why we brought up things we're trying to be better at. We mentioned some of the serious things that parents wanted to get better at, discussing Carrie Penny's to how to discuss systemic racism in society with a 5-year-old, talking about what's happening and how we can work to break down racist views and recognize them in ourselves with a 5-year-old. I mean, it's tough. It's tough out there. But we're going to talk about some more generic parenting issues. And I say generic because they seem to be very common, which makes me feel a lot better about my own parenting. Because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've talked about being bad at before, and so have you. And I think it's pretty universal. Have you done anything as a dad, as a modern man, as a confident metrosexual to elevate your parenting skills? Are you very conscious of, like, I need to fix this aspect, I need to fix that aspect, and do you work at it, or do you just slink into denial and continue to do things the same way you've always done them?
So my main focus as a metrosexual is on my stubble, as you know, is just having the right amount.
Mine's on my hair.
You know what I mean? That's really where my focus, all my parenting energy goes just right into myself.
The stubble.
For me, it really is about just trying to talk to my kids in a tone that is not frustrated, which I tend to do a lot, and I see that coming out in them, which really makes me frustrated at myself.
Do you find that your more measured tone can be more frightening? Like, it's so controlled. It's obvious you're trying really hard to rein it in. Do your kids find that intimidating? You know,
it's such a good question, and the answer is a resounding no. And turns out that they really don't really give a shit about if I'm asking, like, nicely or however. What I tend to do is I just tend to kind of be barky. Hey, can you go do this? Can you do that? And I'm adding please at the end of it, but I do make a conscious effort to really say, hey guys, can you help? I don't know, whatever, is clear the table, like clean up, whatever it might be. And then then the fourth time happens, and then it just goes right back. Like,
why are you yelling?
The kids are wrestling. Oh my God, dude! I don't know what to do when they start wrestling each other, and they're not listening, and they're laughing, and they're having a great time.
Yeah. but it's
that's
just driving.
That's when I'm at
How dare they?
Literally my most angry. Yeah, and they're always like, dude, Jack, just take it easy, man. Okay,
chill, bro.
Yeah, chill, bro.
So, a few years ago, I wrote a blog post about wearing an elastic band on your wrist. And I know I must have gotten this idea somewhere else. But when I wrote about it and put it on Facebook, people really responded to it.
It felt like you were the first person to come up with that idea.
Well, whatever, however they heard about it, but they were very excited about it, right? So that's one of the reasons I know I didn't come up with it. Somebody else had the good idea. I just thought it was good too and shared it.
Well, you modified it and put the rubber band on your wrist.
Exactly. I sure did.
As opposed to the other place.
But the idea is to flick yourself with it when you feel yourself getting impatient or starting to yell or whatever. So I wore that on my wrist for a while and did not enact any of it. Even whether I had the rubber band on or not, it did not help my parenting. But I will say, like a week and a half ago, my wife and I got in an argument about how bad I am at being a dad to one of my kids in particular. And I've been really concentrating for the past week and a half to be a better dad to my 9-year-old.
Dad, why are you slapping your wrist so much? Just gritting your teeth, slapping your wrist.
Dad, your wrist is bleeding.
Yeah, Dad. You're scaring me, Dad.
So a lot of people said they really needed to work on improving their patience, right? So Amy Langlaise, Fuzz Dag, Alphaba Pickle Bottoms, which is a very fun name to say. Ooh, Francisco, that's a fun word to say. Miss Magana 82, A Seller's Marketplace, OMG, You Can't Sit With Us, Miss Maya 1977, Motown Magic. All these people said they wish they could be better at being more patient. Bailey C 0921, Mama Said No, Abby Flett, J_Paz 927. She says, I wish I had more patience with my toddler. She's such a whiny pain in the ass sometimes. And that's the problem.
Right.
Yes, I want to be a better parent, but I really wish my kids were just better kids. Because they deserve a lot of the blame here. Let's be honest.
I mean, come on. Like, this is exactly correct. You are exactly correct. What we have we're either overcompensating or we're giving them so much attention that, and again, this is just me being completely hyperbolic, but I feel like it's all coming back to us in form of not listening, in the form of not listening. Right? Especially when they need to listen. And I believe it's because we're constantly engaging them, in my mind. I don't know. Exactly. I'm just trying to think back. When I was growing up, I don't think I had the same level of conversations that I had with my parents that I'm having with my kids. Now, is that a good thing? I don't know. But I know that if my dad or my mom was
based on how you turned out, terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No joke, no doubt. But I do know that I would not be rolling on the ground, as a 9, 10, 11,
so 12 you're saying behaviors on both ends have gotten a little more extreme.
I feel like that.
Sure, yeah, maybe you're right. But look, this is what I say to my kids. Just because it's not your fault, it doesn't mean you're not to blame, right? Anyway, so Anna Mulder says, she wishes she could be more patient when they are purposely annoying you or not listening. Exactly. Purposely, the key word there. Alba BYC, who I assume is Jessica Alba, said, I really wish I had more patience. I lose my cool and then yell, which in turn just makes me feel like a shit mom. I never lash out with hitting. I just yell. It's something that I have been working on really hard during these last few months, seeing as they've been home 24/7. This is the other thing. During quarantine, if you needed patience before, I'm positive you need a lot more now, or you have even less of it now.
Right.
Because you're at home 24/7 with your kids and your spouse if you have one, and there's just no escape. It sucks.
And have you seen that video of that dog who's just had a litter of puppies? And comes in, and she's just had enough, and so she starts growling. And like all the puppies just immediately lay down. And she growls like she's about to like
eat them all.
Yeah. And I mean, so this is the problem, right? I wish I had more patience. I lose my cool when they're not purposely paying attention. So what are you supposed to do? You're not going to have a peace treaty. This is not détente. Unfortunately, I want to teach justice, equality, and social consciousness, but just not at bedtime. At bedtime, it's the Pol Pot dictatorship, and I am Pol Pot, and I need you to brush your teeth and go to bed.
But here's the thing: is it not only is like the yelling, and because that's what we're getting into next. A lot of people wish they yelled less, and I yell way too much, right? But a lot of people, like the yelling, not only does it not work, afterwards, after it's not worked, you feel horrible about yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You're just like, so it's ineffective. And the more you do it, the less effective it gets, right? But you can't stop doing it. And then you feel like a piece of garbage, or your wife confronts you on a Saturday night when you thought you're having a good time watching a movie, and about how you yell too much at your kid. It just, that's what happens. It bubbles up. And that's the thing. It doesn't work. You scare them. Sometimes, and that can be a bit much. But so, like Lacey Morris says, every day I wake up thinking I'll be better, and by 4 p.m. I'm fucking Ursula, which is a Little Mermaid reference, I believe. She said Alphaba Picklebottoms, our favorite name of the week, says she wishes she yelled at her kids less and was better at de-escalating the situation. That's the thing. One of the main things my wife gets mad about is when I start yelling at my son, he starts yelling, or you see your kids treat each other the way you treat them, right? Which means a lot of yelling in our house. And then the whole atmosphere is tense, and my wife does not enjoy that, obviously.
So that is definitely the thing that's Mike, are you okay? Is everything okay?
I am. I was just hopping on my Kawasaki.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is when so as I said, I don't know if I don't really lose my temper like to the yelling point, but I just come in, I'm just constantly at an 8, you know what I mean? Always just kind of very blunt, very, and then when I see that happening between the kids, then that's where I really feel like shit, because I'm like, God damn, these kids are just talking to each other like such assholes, like the way I talk to them, and like I've taught them to talk, and that's when I want to go and jump into the river.
So our friend, I almost called her our little friend because of her name, but our friend and loyal listener, Little Charmer 80, says she definitely wishes she yelled less. Every day in this lockdown, she said, I'm going to be really careful not to yell at the kids today, trying to turn over a new leaf and be calm, but it doesn't always last long. They just piss me off so much. I don't think it's very helpful, though. Now I hear my oldest daughter being mean to my youngest, but she's mimicking me, right? Which is it's excruciating when I hear my son yelling at his little brother, and I know he's the same tone, or he's saying the same words. That's the absolute worst. So KSU Julie puts a twist on it because she has a teenager. She says she wishes she's working on not being a raging bitch at the same time as her teenage daughter is being a raging bitch, which is sort of what my mom, I almost called my wife my mom, and now I'm making it worse by explaining.
I'm sure, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. Like,
my wife gets mad at me for escalating it. Exactly what we were just talking about the previous comment with my son. I yell, he yells, and then everybody's yelling in the house, and that sucks. KSU Julie may or not be referring to some womanly changes. I don't have daughters, so I wouldn't know. But I have heard the rumors that, like, when you get a teenage daughter and her mom, suddenly what was a sweet relationship they can start to butt heads for whatever reason. Yeah. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. I don't think, well, the only thing I would disagree with is it has to start at the teenage years. I think it can start earlier.
Emerging earlier. Is only 12?
Yes.
When's the birthday? May?
November.
Next May?
Yeah. November.
Anyway, a lot of other people said that they wish they didn't yell so much. And then, so Little Charmer 80's comment, she said at the end, she wished she had the motivation sometimes to get involved in interaction with them, because otherwise when they're playing nice, she takes the opportunity to be like, okay, I'm going to like escape, or they don't need me. She relaxes with a book or her phone, or she gets some stuff done around the house. She doesn't really love playing with them. And this was another big thing where people were like, I wish I liked playing with my kids more. But let's be honest. The shit they like to do is boring. I don't want to play trains.
Well, it's that. Also, as I say to my kids all the time, they're always asking me, hey, can you help me play this or help me play that? Or like, hey, guys, I have 3 of you. The reason I have 3 kids is so you guys can
play with each other.
Can pack up and start playing. Yeah, play, throw a ball, kick a ball around. And I'm happy to do that. I mean, of course, I'm happy to do that 90% of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I say happy,
everybody's fine.
I'll do it. But really, like I guess I want to say this, to the point where there's no imagining. It's like I have to like, not only am I with my kids, but I have to then set up the game. I have to then set up the construct of what we're playing. And like, guys, you guys have to do this. It's your imagination. You have to develop it. It's like muscle. You got to exercise it. And I'm also like tired. I'm an old man. And
well, that was a big one, right? So Mikkel Shekau says, I'm 35 with a 1-year-old that barely have the energy to play after work. NY Born 98 says, I wish I had more time to play with them, but it's hard when working from home, full-time from home. And this is the other thing. You're home, and the kids think because you're home you have more free time. But that's not necessarily the case if you're still working a job, right? So that can be tough. But for me, I don't have the energy. I'm tired all the time because of them. And I want them to play with each other and leave me alone. But mostly the stuff they like to do is pretty boring. We even have a PlayStation, and my son doesn't like to play any of the sports games, and none of the other games are multiplayer. It's all like you have to play like in a world online. You can't. We got a racing game. We got a racing game, and you can't even race each other. We have 2 controllers. The game does not allow you to. Like, what is going on here? They just want you to buy. I don't know what's happening.
Just buy another console and another TV. It's really simple. Problem solved.
I think that's exactly what they want you to do, right? So, but a bunch of people said, Iseline with 4 eyes in the middle there says, I should play with them more, Barbies, etc. But come on, it's so boring, and I agree. It does get boring. Also, you have to get down on the floor, and it hurts. My kid's always trying to make me get down on the floor.
I know.
I'm old.
You know what, Mike? That's probably a massive, major reason why playing is tough. Just if there's a standing desk option for playing, let's do that. Right?
Let's do treadmill.
Exactly.
Desk.
Yeah, something like that.
Isabel.dst mentions another good wrinkle. She feels guilty about not spending as much one-on-one time with her son and playing because she also has a baby, right? So that's the other thing. Like you're saying, kind of like you have 3 kids, you want them to play with each other, but also there's some times where you have to be tending to one while the other one wants your attention or whatever, and especially when you have younger kids. So I have the 9-year-old and the 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old still needs a lot more attention than my 9-year-old, and then he gets jealous.
My absolute favorite thing is it's like you're putting away laundry or something, you're coming into a room, you turn the corner, and there's your kid just playing by themselves, and you just immediately freeze and then slowly back
away.
Do not interrupt the vibe. They are vibing. They are they're in their zone. They're doing what they have to do. They're vibing with whatever they got going on. If you come in, the second they notice, hey dad, oh yeah, come on, and then energy changes. Can I have the screen? Can I have your phone? You're just like, oh man, get out of there.
What did you get yourself into? So you mentioned screen and phones, and this was another big wish. People wish that they were better. I think in 2 ways. One, they weren't on their phones as much, and B, they didn't rely on the screens to entertain their kids as much. So Mandy Max 123 says she can't stand the constant battle to balance her kids' screen time with creative time, right? So Mama Barry and I both get frustrated about this because it's very easy to, if you're not feeling well or you're tired or you're busy, to throw them to a TV or let them play one of their educational games on one of their things. They just want that screen time, and it's the easiest thing to get yourself a break. But especially when they're not at school and you're responsible for structuring their free time and their play time and stuff, striking that balance is hard. I know that you guys are super active, and your wife takes the kids everywhere, so you probably don't have as much of a problem with this, you son of a bitch.
No, we do, because what's amazing is in this last few months of staying at home all together, and not being able to do, or not doing, I shouldn't say be able, but just not doing the schedule and being at the pace that we were at has really transformed, in many ways, kind of level set our dynamic in the family. And it was hard, and then it got good, and then it got now it's okay, we're over it. Let's we need to go somewhere and do something.
We need a break.
This is good. Yeah, so too much of a good thing maybe.
But you don't lean on screen time though, to your credit.
No. Dude, we're screening it up. Everyone's getting
screen time out the ass.
It's raining screen time. Yeah. One time my daughter asked me for a cup of water. I was like, just go on your screen. She said, no, I need some water. And I was like, doesn't matter. Just log on to Minecraft, play 2 hours of Minecraft. Yeah, exactly. And just forget about the water.
So there were a handful more comments on this one, but all of them address parents being on their screens too much. And that's certainly a problem that Mom and Barry and I confront sometimes, especially me. Like I'm running an empire here, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm running an empire through my phone, game Don't Sleep. What am I supposed to do? Is that a phrase?
Well, probably not, Mike. Probably not.
The game Don't Sleep, did I make that up?
Yeah. Just the players who are really tired.
Yeah, I'm really tired, which is why I'm not playing with my kids. Slack. It's funny because I wrote that in all caps under Tater Katie. She wrote, "I never feel like I play with my kid enough, even though I play with him a lot." And in all caps under that, I put "cut selves some slack," because I want parents to cut themselves some slack. Guess what? Odds are your kid's not going to be a couch potato his whole life. He's not going to have his mind brainwashed. I take that one back. There's a very good chance that his mind is already brainwashed, and so is ours and yours. But he's not going to be the kid that shoots up a school because he played too much Need for Speed. That's the game I'm playing that I can't race my son on. Yeah. Very frustrating. I played it once. I'll probably never play it again. But I think we the same way that you said our parents were just like, yeah, go off and play, and they didn't worry too much about engaging us too much. We worry about it so much that we put we overemphasize the value that we have in our kids' development too, I think.
Exactly. And then and so this is an interesting, I think, paradigm shift, obviously, that we're going through, where we're trying to we collectively feel like we want to give our kids everything and all the opportunities, and maybe things that we never had, or maybe the things exactly as we had it. But at the end of the day, it's so much, and it's overwhelming. And especially as we talked about, if you don't have a support system, i.e. you're not living with your family, or your family's not right there, and they don't take the kid for a day or 2 days or whatever it might be, hours a day. It's just too much of a good thing, which, as we all know, is brutal.
I think for both sides. I think there can be too much from the kid side. There can be too much parent involvement. Then the kid that starts to rely on the parent for entertainment and activity and all that stuff. When I was a kid, my parents knew where I was most of the time.
Exactly. And that's sort of what I'm saying about this. We roll to the park and immediately it's like, okay, Dad, you have to chase me and I have to do this.
Yeah.
Guys, no. You just go, you chase each other. Why do I have to be involved with that?
I want to relax.
Yeah, I brought my phone and my laptop and this desktop, which I'm going to plug in to this, outlet over here, which I specifically am setting up next to.
You know what I hate? When you happen to take your kid to the playground, the one time you do it, and I know you do it a lot, but when I was unemployed last summer, I took my toddler one day, and some other kid who's out there bored around the same age decides to get involved, and then all of a sudden, I'm playing tag or monster with this random kid, and then when I want to leave, I'm feeling bad, is this kid got nothing to do and all this stuff. Very annoying.
So you end up taking the kid home and then raising as your own.
Yeah, eventually the youngest. That's the toddler. Yeah.
Okay, good. Nice. Another playground child adoption, which is totally the way.
It is. Look, I think I'm doing a good thing.
You are. Certainly are.
So a couple of people mentioned ADHD, which obviously hits close to home for me. So Shan Boo Boo said she wished she was better at understanding her son's ADHD. And Charblyn, B-L-Y-N, says, I can't seem to find the appropriate line of being too hard versus hard enough with my son, or not hard enough with my son with ADHD. And I feel that 1,000,000%. Because you can't always, not only can you not tell the line between, am I disciplining too much or not enough? Can I somehow, and I think it's partially a fallacy to be I can discipline the ADHD out of him. But the problem is it's hard to find the line between what are the ADHD behaviors and what are the typical annoying kid behaviors, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, not only controlling yourself, but also reading up and learning as much as you can about the symptoms and that stuff, I think goes a long way. But I'm not going to do that. You think I'm going to read anything? You're crazy.
Here's what you do. It's really simple. In the middle of an argument, you say, is this the ADHD? Out! get out, you ADHD.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you look at your kid.
The power
And
of Christ compels you.
all you do is you simply blow air onto him. Like
You hold a Bible up the way Trump did.
That's
You've
correct.
Never touched a Bible, let alone a book, let alone the Bible before.
And you just stand there, and then you immediately just blow air on him. And you say, out. There you go. Done.
You know,
Problem solved.
I'm going to do that tomorrow.
There you go.
I'll report back next week. And there were a few random comments. Diva Shish 22 says she wishes they would have sleep trained. I'm a big proponent of sleep training.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference in your kids' life. I don't think it damages them. Obviously, depending on how you do it. If you're like putting them in an elector mask and waterboarding them to go to sleep, it's problematic, right? That's not what you did. That's the Ferber method.
Yeah, exactly.
Jan Marie says, I need to start brushing their teeth in the morning instead of just at night. She has a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Teeth brushing is hell.
Yeah.
Reminding them, getting them to do it, checking to see if they've done it even partially well, which they never do. They're terrible at it.
Well, first of all, this is something you don't have to be too hard on yourselves with. Guess what? All these teeth, they're falling out anyway.
Yeah.
So do your own thing. But you just want to get them into that. You want to get them into that routine. By the way, so what is it like back in the olden days? It was all like, whale teeth and stuff that we were walking around with.
Like George Washington, wooden teeth. Whale teeth? You know how big a whale tooth would be?
What did we watched the Planet Earth in the morning. The kids, like, whenever they want to watch.
Whale teeth?
Yeah. So the only piece of parenting that I was able to summon, because I was like, screens are going to happen. And the only way that actually the kids can tell a weekday or a school day from a weekend is the shows that they can watch, because they're watching them a lot. So they were watching like Planet Earth, right? They had to watch, and they're like, oh god, this is the worst. But then it came out that apparently dentures were made from tusks of whales, elephant seals or whale seals or whatever.
Have you seen the film Tusk?
No, Mike, I haven't. Tell me about it.
With the kid from the Apple commercials. Remember those old commercials? Not Apple. iMac?
Justin Long.
Justin Long. I knew it was Justin something. But he's apparently from Connecticut. I saw him on the Metro North once. So I haven't seen the movie, but I've never been more confident in saying that a movie is terrible. It's about a dude. It's Kevin Smith, first of all, who's the worst. That's my John Ralphio voice. It's about a dude who gets he's like a journalist, and he goes out to like a secluded mansion in like northern Canada or something, and then the guy paralyzes him and fuses his body with that of a walrus.
Oh,
it's
nice.
A horror film. It's a horror film.
When did this come out? It's beautiful.
I don't know, 5 years ago.
Okay.
4 or 5 years. I don't know. Remember, I lost. It's still in my wheelhouse since it wasn't the last 2 years.
Right. That's
incredibly offensive. So the last one I wanted to mention was Christy Witt says wishes she was better at routines and consistency. I'm long on record as saying that I think consistency is the hardest and most essential part of being a parent. No matter what you do, if you can do the same thing all the time, the kids grasp it and understand it in a way. And like, I'm just all over the place with everything. Sometimes I yell most of the time, and then sometimes I don't. We have dinner this time, but then that time, and then there's like no consistency in anything. Sometimes I withhold screen time. Sometimes I give them too much. Like, it's just, I'm all over the place. Like, they're never going to be able to get a read on me, which I don't think is an effective way to inspire discipline. It's a good way to keep them on their toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But it puts everyone on edge. And I do think being consistent and setting consistent routines is really important. I just find it incredibly difficult.
Well, also, I think it's something it's interesting that you just mentioned this. Our previous episode of what do we want for our kids, where it was sort of, we talked about this, about keeping them, one of my goals is not this traditional, like, get a good job, do this and do that. Because essentially it's like, go to a good school. It's like, because all of that is changing now, right? Like, what is a good school? Fluid. To be honest with you, what is a good school, especially in the United States right now?
Success is vague these days, or the American dream, such as it is, we talked about, is a vague proposition.
Especially right now, and ultimately, I think what we want is, or what I would like, is my kids to be able to adjust to change correctly, be like empathetic, right? So instead of having a high IQ, having a high EQ, and being able to
emotional intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely, being able to look. I think we have a real empathy problem right now.
Obviously, yeah.
And I think, and I quite honestly, the empathy problem that goes beyond it. It's definitely part of the institutional racism that we're facing. That has been
plays a big part in it. The lack of empathy.
It's a huge part.
But then,
but there's other stuff, right? Like all the other things that have happened. I think, quite honestly, people are they are absolutely pissed with all of this completely selfish, aggressive behavior that has happened. And quite honestly, like if you look at some of these police videos, they're it's indiscriminate who they're attacking. I mean, it's obviously
well, they're
far
all
more
amped up and ready to go. Like it's like sports.
Exactly. And you just look at some of these videos, and it's so awful, and it's the worst of humanity. It's like, how can we at least try and teach our kids
more screen time? I think
more screen time. I think is a good start. I think loading them up with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you and your Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
And Roblox and TikTok. This is the answer we need, folks. Let's go. That's all.
So I do want to agree with you when you said that the solution to all of parenting is more screen time. I recently got HBO Max and Enemy Mine, the classic film we used to reference early in the run of the podcast, is on there. I would highly recommend it, not because it's good. It's really kind of a bizarre movie and not very good. But just to see how good my Lou Gossett Jr. Alien voice is. I don't even remember what it sounds like now. It's really good. Oh my God.
Just when I thought we were over
5 minutes, Enemy Mine, Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr. It's just...
chef's kiss. There it is.
I did want to say that the last thing, everybody has a lot of stuff they want to get better at. But the range of that stuff, like there is so much we're supposed to do as parents. Feed the kids, clothe the kids, all that stuff, right? Occupy their time, right? More and more these days. Teach them how to be good humans. Teach them all this stuff. Like
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street.
Come on.
Get rid of the designated hitter if we can get the votes.
Yeah.
I actually like the designated hitter. Just saying, parenting's a tough. You know what? Parenting's a tough gig, man.
It's hard, and I feel like we're making it hard. I mean, look, we know more. There's a lot of information out there. I think we're over. I think I am personally, I overthink it. I try and over parent. I think in some cases, and it just comes out as like just kind of aggro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
just a constant little shelf of aggro. So I don't know.
Because we care more.
It is because we care. And we care that they brush their teeth and go to bed.
But you told them not to worry about the teeth. Oh, no, you told me. We can't tell them.
Yeah.
No, never let them know.
Mike, come on. No. Like I said, it's all fair and justice, but then once it comes bedtime, it's like a Stalin.
All bets are off. It's Thunderdome.
Dictatorship. Yep, exactly.
All right, so if you enjoyed that episode, or even if you didn't, you can go and listen on Apple, Spotify, everywhere else, and subscribe to our future episodes and our past ones, where we talk a lot about a lot of the stuff we brought up, especially a lot of Enemy Mine talk early on in the run of the show. If you want to catch those gems, you can give us a review. You can always use reviews on Apple, and if you want to throw us some money, we got a Patreon and stuff. But mostly, we just want people to hear us because we're bringing a lot to the table, I think.
We really are bringing a lot. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're leaving a lot of dishes on the table, but when we bring it, we just kind of set it up.
We made tacos tonight, but when we make tacos, it's those crappy, like from the box Ortega tacos. I bet you when you do it, it's like, the hand-rolled stuff, your damn boy.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We roll Ortega big time.
That's one thing I need to get better at is cooking. And that has nothing to do with my kids. I just wish I was better at it.
All right, Mike. Well, there's always next week.
Oh, and if you don't recognize the movie I mentioned at the top, hit me up.
Okay. Thanks.
It was a special quote.
I
want
know.
to see if anybody notices it. There's no way anybody's still listening.
See you next time.
I don't know why you would still be watching This Isn't a Marvel movie, no matter how much I look like Paul Rudd, which you can deny it all you want. It's there. In the eyes, I think. I'm young looking like him. If you enjoyed the podcast, which you obviously did or you wouldn't be listening still, sign up on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to. Comment here on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that like button. We want to hear from you. Comments, questions, dirty jokes, money. All the money you can give us. We'd love it all. Catch you next time.